think smoking always affected my daily life because I was a closet smoker. It really sort of controlled my entire day. My boss is the one that recommended Juul, so I decided to give it a try. You don't get any of the odor of smoking. There's no ash all over your car. I would say give it a try.
Get the flavor and satisfaction of smoking without the mess of cigarette ash or lingering odor. Switch to Juul. Check out JUUL.com/sports. If you don't smoke or vape, don't start.
Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical.
Caught Offside with Andrew Gunling and JJ Devaney.
Oh, yes. Caught Offside from the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Andrew Gunling and JJ Devaney. What's going on, man?
Hello, how are you, Andrew?
I'm doing all right. You?
I'm okay.
Yeah? Good. Thursday, weekend's in sight.
I'm an uncle again.
It's unbelievable. Congratulations.
Thanks very much.
But not only uncle.
I'm the godfather now.
This is like your dream.
It is. It absolutely is.
So now, like, we're just going to be kind of like resigned to many Marlon Brando impressions, and like you're really going to play the role. I know you.
You come to me.
There we go.
You come to me looking for a favor. You ask me to do a murder. You never take my hand in friendship.
Forever.
Yeah. This is like eventually you'll just morph into him. You'll just start like
eating too much.
Yeah, putting like gauze in your cheeks to try to like simulate. Yeah, I know how you operate.
Gently tapping you on the cheek of your face to show affection. Yeah, all those things.
Oh, what a show we have coming up for you! Of course, we're going to take a look back at the Champions League, and we'll look ahead to a pretty big weekend slate of matches. Obviously, it's decision day in MLS. It's also El Clasico coming up in Spain. And a very big one in the Premier League with Tottenham and Manchester City. And, of course, Borussia Dortmund with their big win yesterday against Atletico Madrid and Christian Pulisic returning to action. Stefan Butzko, who's been on the program before, he'll join us to talk about that game. I just found out he has ties to Philadelphia, too.
Yeah.
Which is very cool.
But we're going to be talking about the yellow wall as opposed to fly, eagle, fly.
Yeah, I know. I saw Christian Pulisic commented on how incredible the crowd was for them yesterday, and that helped to carry them through. So I guess you really, look, there is a reason that teams perform better at home than on the road. And like I think sometimes the fans downplay what their actual importance is in a game, but I actually do think in soccer it can help really carry a team when the fans are truly behind them, and that is oftentimes the case there.
I would say there's a few venues in the Premier League who claim to have these amazing atmospheres could well take a look at the Westfalenstadion and maybe rethink that, because it's trite, but they're the 12th man.
Yep. Let's see. I guess we'll go through this chronologically. We're not going to go through every single game, so if we don't get to your team, I apologize in advance.
But that's what the mailbag is for. Send a question in or a comment, and we'll deal with it there.
Maybe.
I
mean, look, there's some teams that I don't know how much we're going to talk about. This is just the reality.
What if we have 10,000 listeners that are from Young Boys Burn? You're not going to talk about Young Boys Burn?
If they give us that... Well, you know what? I take that all back, because by popular demand, we instituted the wheel of crap teams, so...
Maybe we should have a Champions League version.
But can you be a crap team and be in the Champions League?
You can be Spurs. Zing! Oh, it's going to be feisty.
I can't believe you just said that.
I didn't mean that.
Let's start with Tuesday. We'll start with Manchester United and Juventus. 1-0.
Speaking of the wheel.
1-0. It goes to Juve. Stop us when you've heard this before. It was a lifeless performance from Jose Mourinho's team.
It was stupefying, and the narrative that has emerged afterwards from journalists, commentators, Bleacher Report studio guests, and Mourinho himself, and he's going to want to push it, is that this was like some kind of barnstorming second half where United pushed and just, they just couldn't unlock that brilliant Juventus side. But that's utter tripe. I mean, apart from Paul Pogba's shot off the post that hit Wojciech Szczesny in the back of the head and really could have gone in, did they really carve Juventus open? Did they really trouble them? No. But that's the narrative that Mourinho's spinning.
Yeah, maybe it is. I don't know. I kind of thought his narrative was more along the lines of that Juve are just really good.
No. What was interesting what he said to BT was that, you want to talk about the attacks, but let me talk about something else, which was the defending. And
Well, is that what we have for Mourinho?
I think that
he talked about Manchester United's performance. Should we listen to this?
Okay, well, listen. Unless you have something different.
I don't know.
How dare you contradict me?
This is what you sent me.
All right, play it then.
Jose, we knew Juventus had quality, but what did you make of the performance tonight?
Our performance? The possible performance. And when I say the possible, I say that in the other side was huge quality. And sometimes people, when we speak about quality, sometimes people look for Cristiano, Dybala, Pjanic, but in a top team you have to look to Chiellini, to Bonucci, and I think Juventus is this kind of team that when they are in front is very, very difficult to concede a goal.
Yeah, he's saying what I just said, that they're really good.
But that's spin, Andrew. That is absolute spin. Has Bonucci or Chiellini had an easier night in how they had a harder night against Genoa at the weekend? This is just bollocks. It's nonsense.
It's also
it's spin by not talking up by talking up Chiellini and by talking up Bonucci. What you're saying basically is that we had them on the rack, but we just couldn't get through. Nonsense. You never troubled them.
I actually read into it even deeper than that.
Okay.
The two players that he pointed out, JJ, what positions do they play?
Centre backs.
Mm-hmm. He's been obsessed with this position because he feels that he was not properly funded in that way, and he is trying to reinforce to the board, Ronaldo, Pjanic, that's all fine and good.
Get me some 30-somethings.
But you can't win without players at that position, Chiellini's and Bonucci's. Now, look, there's obviously some truth to it. The reason, we've said this 1,000 times, the reason that our sympathy falls a little bit short is because Mourinho also handpicked the guys who are currently playing in those positions. Not all of them, but a lot,
Smalling, he didn't pick Smalling, but Lindelof and Bailly.
Right, so that's where the sympathy falls a little bit short, but it is not a coincidence that Mourinho singled out those two guys.
Remember Tony O'Donoghue, who was destroyed by Martin O'Neill, the Irish reporter?
Yeah.
So last night he spoke to Mourinho, and do you know what he said? Now, he was throwing softball questions to Mourinho, because I guess Irish journalists don't get much time with him and they're afraid to annoy him. He was right on the money with you. He said, he spoke about Bonucci, Chiellini, and Antonio O'Donoghue goes, wouldn't you love to have them? Yes, I would. Yeah, you're so right. But it just goes to show, he wants winners, he wants guys in their between 28 and 35, and it's a short win mentality, and he's just...
I don't have a ton more to say about this game.
There isn't, because guess what? 2 shots on target in 90 minutes. 6 in total.
The only other question that I have about United, and this could wind up becoming a podcast unto itself.
Yeah.
But you see their league form. You see that the Champions League is not going the way necessarily that they would hope that it would have gone. And you hear Mourinho's rhetoric, and you just can't help but start to wonder, is it that they're in poor form, or is it that they're actually just maybe not that good?
I think it might be a bit of both. If you look at where, like Lindelof, Shaw, and Young, look at their back four just for 1 second. Not to harp on Mourinho, but Luke Shaw has been given an extended contract, but he has hardly established himself as a mainstay in the United team apart from this season and bits of last season. And when I say about established, I mean he's constantly under the microscope from the manager. And indeed, the manager bring the ire of the fans on him. He's had a tough time. Is he top quality? I don't know. Ashley Young's a converted full-back, and Lindelof just hasn't settled at United. Matic was poisoned the other night, Andrew. He couldn't get anything going. Rashford, to me, is played out of position wide on the right. It doesn't work. Mata is getting into the extended years of his career. Anthony Martial, I think, is an excellent footballer, underused, and Lukaku is isolated, and not only is he isolated, he's out of form. Put it all together.
Yeah, I just wonder, when I look at them, it's Manchester United, but who are the players on that club that are like locked down first 11 on the other really good clubs in England?
That's a great question. I mean,
I would say
Matic
Pogba
doesn't get into Chelsea right now. With the way the Chelsea midfield is right now, Pogba doesn't get into it because he doesn't move the ball like Jorginho does. So, and he also doesn't, that's another thing as well. Pogba, I can't watch Pogba toil for United anymore. It doesn't, I know there's loads of guys with the stats who'll give you, his progressive passes, the runs he makes, etc. And that's fine. But the other night, he wasn't doing anything. if anything, he was delaying the movement of the ball. And also, a couple of times, to his credit and in fairness to him, Pogba was on the ball, Andrew, and he'd look up the field and there was no movement. Mm-hmm. Partly because Lukaku was isolated, partly because Rashford is not a wide player, even in a 3. It's a mess. I don't believe there's a plan. I could tell you there's a plan to the way Juventus, the way they pinged the ball around in that first half in particular. You could see there was, in training, patterns of play being done and a way and a style and a defined role for each player, and there isn't at United.
Yeah, it doesn't feel that way right now. Let's see, we move on. Another game on Tuesday that stood out a little bit. Real Madrid surviving Victoria Pilsen 2-1.
Surviving is the word.
Yeah, it was not a convincing performance in a time when Julian Lopetegui desperately needs one. He didn't look thrilled really at any point during the match, didn't really celebrate when they scored their goals.
The fans weren't exactly... They weren't effusive in their praise of the team either. There was a lot of whistles at full time, half time, but they won, which is just like crucial for just extending his life at the club a little bit longer. But Pilsen should have had 2 goals themselves.
Yeah, and it does feel like there's just kind of this air. I guess it makes sense to talk about Real Madrid after we talk about Manchester United, because in both places it feels like just this air of inevitability.
It's like you're waiting for it to happen. You're waiting for the piano to fall from the sky, but you know it's coming. And I wonder, Andrew, if they get, say it's a 2-0 defeat, which is probably